Good morning. Thank you all for being here with us today. It's been an extraordinary month in St. Paul and across our region where we've experienced historic and extreme weather conditions. The nearly 40 inches of snowfall accumulation our city has experienced over the last month is unprecedented and record-breaking, not only unusual for us, but also significantly more than many of our Midwestern neighbors. Minnesotans know that this is part of living in the bold North, but it also requires us to constantly respond and adapt to ensure we're keeping our city safe and passable. Through our polar vortex of extreme cold weather and record-breaking snowfall, which has resulted in 6 straight snow emergencies, our city crews have worked hard to keep St. Paul going. So far this year, our street maintenance crews have plowed nearly 6,000 lane miles of city streets, the equivalent of 3 round trips to Anaheim, California and back, to keep our neighborhood streets passable. Our firefighters, paramedics, and police officers continue to work around the clock to respond to emergencies and keep us safe, and our librarians and park and recreation workers have worked overtime to provide warm, safe spaces for children and families. Safety remains our top priority in the face of this record-breaking weather. Our fire department and public works teams have worked together closely over the past few weeks to monitor residential streets and ensure accessibilities for emergency vehicles. But the record-breaking snow we've experienced over the past month has significantly narrowed many of our residential streets, limiting passability for neighbors and first responders alike. After our most recent snowfall, our fire department, in consultation with Public Works, has recommended action at a citywide level to ensure that for the remainder of the winter, we can continue to keep our residential streets accessible. As a result, we're declaring today a one-sided residential street parking ban effective tomorrow, Monday, March 4th at 12 o'clock p.m. With this step, we can help to ensure that St. Paul remains safe as we continue to adapt to our winter weather conditions. And now I'd like to hand it over to St. Paul Fire Department Public Information Officer, Captain Roy Macasso, to share additional details about our parking ban. Captain?
Thank you, Mayor Carter. My name is Roy Macasso. I am St. Paul Fire's Public Information Officer. I'm speaking today to you on behalf of Chief Butch Inks. As Mayor Carter indicated, the City of St. Paul is declaring a one-sided residential street parking ban. This is a simple step we can all take to ensure our fire trucks and ambulances can access our entire city in an emergency. This ban will go into effect tomorrow, Monday, March 4th at noon. Once the ban is in effect, parking is not allowed on the even-numbered side of all residential streets. People can park on the odd side of residential streets and should follow all normal posted parking rules on main streets. The ban will be in effect until April 1st unless weather and road conditions permit the ban to be lifted earlier. People can use the city's one-sided parking map at stpaul.gov for helping in determining where to park and to obtain updated information. People can also call 651-266-PLOW for information about the one-sided residential parking ban. The safety of our residents is the city's top priority, and the one-sided parking ban allows us to make sure our streets are safe and accessible for all emergency vehicles.
Well, I think it's, every street is different, and we tried as long as possible to try and do some things with the St. Paul Fire Department to see if we could widen some streets that were particularly narrow. We've gotten to a point because we had a snow emergency on Friday, and because the snowbanks excuse me, are so high, the snow just rolls back into the street. So there is no standard for, how our streets are all different widths in our residential. We just know that right now we're at a majority where we just cannot safely allow public safety vehicles to pass. So I think it really depends because all residential streets are different. But when I was out driving yesterday, there are plenty of places where there's barely enough room for one car to pass, not to mention if you were in a, like a fire engine. There will be places to park. It's going to be inconvenient for people. We get very used to parking in front of our own homes, even in places where we have very tight off-street parking. And, excuse me, as I told the mayor this morning, I think we're going to have to tell people that we have chosen public safety over inconvenience, and people will have to walk farther, and that's one of the reasons why we didn't want to do this. And like everything that we do for those folks who live in places where there's limited off-street parking, people are going to have to work together. And, you know, you might have to drop off your groceries and then go park the car. And so it's not a decision that we made lightly just because of that reason.
Again, one of our city's most basic obligations to our residents, to our businesses, to our neighbors, to our children and families is to ensure that in an emergency situation, we can get a fire truck, we can get an ambulance to help. That's something that that's a commitment that we cannot take lightly and has to be prioritized even at the expense of these types of inconveniences. Thank you very much.